Hello, today is Tuesday, May 17th, 2016, and I am your host, Sue Brown, and welcome to info2rail, your freight train to modern media. How y'all doing today? Well, we have a great show in store for you today, and I want to welcome you back to our show. We are very fortunate to have, back by popular demand, L.A. Marzulli with us today. I am very excited. Absolutely love having him on the show. He's a lot of fun and he's very knowledgeable, and I definitely learn a lot from him. Today, instead of doing the missing persons files, I'm actually would like to read something to you that I came across on my Facebook, and it really, really touched me in a way that I just can't explain to you. I guess my message this week is we kind of need to take care what we say to people sometimes when we don't know what's going on in their lives, or, you know, what the real truth of the matter is that's really going on. Sometimes we kind of need to take a step back and really think about things before we speak. But this was from a woman named Kelly Durkees. She wrote, "Dear woman in Target, I've heard it before, you know, that I spoiled that baby. You were convinced that she'd never learn to be independent. I smiled at you, kissed her head, and continued my shopping. If you only knew what I know. If you only knew how she spent the first 10 months of her life utterly alone inside a sterile metal crib with nothing to comfort her other than sucking her fingers. If you only knew what her face looked like the moment her orphanage caregiver handed her to me to cradle for the very first time. Fleeting moments of serenity commingled with sheer terror. No one had ever held her that way before, and she had no idea what she was supposed to do. If you only knew that she would lay in her crib after waking up and never cry because up until now, nobody would respond. If you only knew that anxiety was a standard part of her day, along with banging her head on her crib rails and rocking herself for sensory input and comfort. If you only knew that that baby in that carrier is heartbreakingly independent, and how we will spend minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, and even years trying to override the part of her brain that screams trauma and not safe. If you only knew what I know. If you only knew that that baby now whimpers when she's put down instead of when she's picked up. If you only knew that that baby sings at the top of her lungs in the morning and after her nap because she knows that her chatter will bring someone to lift her out of her crib and change her diaper. If you only knew that that baby rocks to sleep in her mama's or papa's arms instead of rocking herself. If you only knew that that baby made everyone cry the day she reached out for comfort, totally unprompted. If you only knew what I know. Spoiling that baby is the most important job I will ever have, and it's a privilege. I will carry her for a little while, or as long as she'll let me, because she is learning that she is safe, that she belongs, that she is loved. If you only knew." That's my message today for everybody, you guys, is the fact that, you know, we don't know everybody's battles, and we don't know everybody's, you know, circumstances or what they're going through at this moment. So before we open our mouths to say something, no matter how small, or even if it's something that we don't think is significant or would hurt another person, I think we should take time to really think about what we say, because, as I said, we really don't know that person's, you know, specifics in their lives that's going on right now. And to me, that was just a really big, touching thing to read. And I just want to say to that woman, you're an amazing human being, and God bless you for taking in that baby and loving that baby the way you do, because you know what? That baby needed you, and you were there. So God bless you, and thank you for that. We're going to take a short break now, and when we return, we will have L.A. Marzulli with us. Stay tuned. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Okay, we are back with L.A. Marzulli. L.A. is the author of the Nephilim Trilogy. The Nephilim Trilogy made the CBA bestseller list and continues to thrill readers a decade after the first book in the series was published. Marzulli received an honorary doctorate from Pacific International University for his work on the Nephilim Trilogy. Marzulli is also the author of the nonfiction work Politics, Prophecy, and the Supernatural. The book packs a hard-hitting expose of how the current political landscape may bring about ancient biblical prophecies, which then may trigger supernatural events that are foretold in the book of Daniel and Revelation. His latest offering, The Alien Interviews, features 17 personal, intense interviews with people who have been directly involved with the UFO phenomena. The book was written for the skeptic with various worldviews presented as to what this phenomena may be. He has also teamed up with the film producer Richard Shaw to create the Watchers DVD series. Marzulli has lectured on his exhaustive research and at conferences, churches, as well as made appearances and interviews on numerous national radio and television programs. Hello, LA, and welcome back to info2rail, and thank you so much for being with us again.
Well, the pleasure's all mine. Thanks for having me here.
Well, you are definitely high demand on this show, and I want to ask you what's new with you.
Well, we're working on Watchers 10. There's actually a trailer. You can go to my YouTube channel or ppsreport.com and check it out there. ppsreport.com. That's our half-hour weekly TV show, which is now on two different stations, WLLA up in Michigan and WNVTN out of Little Rock, and we hope to be expanding. Anybody who wants to help out with that, I'd be more than welcome to. But we're on two stations. It's a 28.5-minute show, half-hour show every week with a variety of guests and topics and all sorts of neat stuff. But Watchers 10 will be out sometime in early July. Hopefully, we're really excited about it. We think it's groundbreaking information. And of course, the new book will accompany that. The working title is Nephilim Hybrids, even though the book and the DVD cover different topics, but they definitely go together because we're on the trail. Both my good friend and partner in crime, so to speak, Richard Shaw, and I are on the trail. And I think Watchers 10 will definitely be groundbreaking.
I'm very excited. I've been waiting. I absolutely loved Watchers 9. And I know a lot of people shoot me emails and requests for you to come back on. They absolutely love you. Can you give us a little bit of a background of what you've been up to other than the Watcher series?
Well, the Watcher series and, of course, the new book. I mean, I do like one book a year, and that just takes months and months and months of work to get a book out, not to mention the research. Richard Shaw and I just got back from Canada. We were there about 10 days ago. Filming there. It was a short whirlwind trip up and back. We filmed in a DNA lab up there. The results of that filming will be in Watchers 10. So we're really working on this. When I say research, we're in the field. We talk to people. We do our own research. We do our own DNA research. We pay for it. We've got some backers, some wonderfully generous people who have really helped with this, and our hats are off to them. They always wish to remain anonymous and in the background, but without them, none of this would be going on. DNA testing is expensive, and I don't have that kind of money, but these people do, and they believe in what we're doing, and they've helped finance the DNA testing, and that's why we're on the trail, and that's why we're hardcore scientific evidence. We've actually had 3 different labs working on the DNA testing.
I think since you came out with all the Nephilim stuff, I've been hearing a lot more lately from a lot more people. I think one of the things I'm hearing a lot of is that they believe that these are the days when the angels will be mixing their blood with human women as in the past, as the Bible says that these will be the days of as they were in the days of Noah. Do you believe that that's where we are right now?
Well, I think it's been happening. I mean, I think with the abduction phenomenon, the UFO abduction phenomenon, we covered this in Watcher 7, Watchers 8. I talked about it in my book, The Cosmic Chess Match, and Further Evidence, and certainly Days of Chaos, the last book that came out. So we've been covering this topic ongoing basically for years. The Nephilim Trilogy, the first books that I ever wrote, deal with this subject, the idea that women are being taken and genetic information is being exchanged. However you want to say that, whether it's through coitus or whether it's just through extraction of ovum or eggs. I mean, I think it's not either or. I think it's both and. And I know that some researchers have a real hard time getting their heads around, oh, they can't possibly, yeah, they can be doing it again. There's no stipulation, there's no mandate that says that they cannot have sex with human women or men or whatever. I mean, they can basically appear as whatever they want to. So I think it's a very complex mix, and I think we do ourselves injustice when we limit the fallen angels. Well, they can't do this. Well, who says they can't? Because you said that they can't. So I have a very sort of a liberal view with all this, and I don't put any stipulations on it. I just kind of go, when it says to me in 2 Thessalonians that Hasatan, Satan, comes with all signs and lying wonders, I take that literally. And lying wonders and all signs, this guy's got power. There's no doubt about it. But greater is he that is in us than, the he that is in the world. Okay, I get that. But we don't know what he's cooking up in Hell's Kitchen, as Russ Dizdar would say. But he's cooking up something in Hell's Kitchen. When you look at Revelation, what comes out of the pit? What comes out of the abuso in the Greek? These bizarre creatures. The hair like a woman, and teeth like a lion, armor on them. And they fly, and they have wings, and their tails are like a scorpion, and they are able to hurt men on the earth.
I think we're really...
what the heck is that? I'm sorry, what?
I think we're really seeing a lot of this world turn, I don't want to say evil, but in the wrong direction.
I agree. I mean, absolutely, I agree. It's just, look, when we've got the president, and I wrote a blog about this, that's making an issue, a governmental issue, a fiat, judicial fiat, declaring like a king would that this is what we're going to do. And if you don't do it, then we're going to penalize you with withholding federal aid. Of course, I'm talking about the transgender bathroom thing. And this is what amazes me about this administration. We are $20 trillion in debt. We've got open borders. We've got jihadis running around in the country. We've got an infrastructure that is crumbling. We've got 92 million people unemployed. We've got 50 million people on food stamps. We've got racial tension between the races like I've never seen it in my lifetime and not going away. We've got major concerns and droughts in California, and the idiot Green Party that runs this state here in California, protects the 8th smelt and won't release the water, and on and on and on it goes. And yet this administration focuses on transgender bathroom laws. I mean, it's beyond insanity. It's the theater absurd. With all the real problems that we have in the country, the weasels in Washington, with all due respect to POTUS, the guy that we've got in the Oval Office focuses on this. I find it unconscionable. I find it a dereliction of duty. And frankly, if we don't stand up and take back the country and do it soon, there will be no country here left. I mean, guaranteed. Because if Clinton gets in again, or if Clinton becomes president, and the fact that she can even run is beyond the pale. This woman is plagued by scandal after scandal after scandal after indictment, and she may be indicted because of the email scam. And then, of course, we have Benghazi, but I digress. The bottom line is the fact that she's even running, it will be another 4 years of Obama, but even more liberal, and this woman will go after the guns. Her daughter said, now that Justice Scalia, and this is what she says, and I'm quoting, is out of the way. Now that Justice Scalia is out of the way, now we can get done. What do you mean out of the way? I mean, what kind of a statement is that for anyone to make? This is one of the Supreme Court justices, a bastion of conservatism on the court, a man who knew the Constitution, who dedicated his life to it. But there's also a dark side to this guy, apparently. Was there a prostitute at the ranch? What kind of a secret society was this guy involved in? Why would he go there in the first place? And why would they, rush to judgment? Oh, it was a massive heart attack, but we're going to embalm the body and then we're going to cremate it so no one can follow up on anything. I mean, are you kidding me? And the American people swallow this pablum? It's just unbelievable. But this is where we are. And we are in such dire straits. And unless the church at large stands up, unless people begin to push back against what amounts to nothing short of judicial fiat, because that's what it is. No one's voting on this stuff. King Obama just declares it, and then everybody has to kowtow and do it. That's not the way the system is supposed to work, period. And this is why pushback needs to happen.
You're right, because it's supposed to be we the people for the people, and it just kind of seems like we don't have a say in anything.
No, we don't. Absolutely not.
I think, I was talking with a couple friends today, and I said, it kind of seems like this whole transgender bathroom thing is such a big issue to kind of cover up other issues so people aren't paying attention to the real picture.
Well, look, here's the deal. Venezuela right now, and I don't know whether your listeners know this, Venezuela is imploding. I mean, Venezuela is having a real tough problem, a tough time right now. There are major food shortages. This is what socialism does. Just go back and look at Venezuela before socialism, and now look at socialism now. It doesn't work. We already did the experiment 70 years with the stupid Soviet Union. It doesn't work. And they're trying to make this country socialistic. It doesn't work. And when we look at Venezuela, now there's no food. And you go to the market and you can't buy anything. And guess what? People are hungry and they're rioting in the streets. But you won't hear word one about that. You won't hear word one about our blood and treasure, our soldiers who are coming back from theaters of war, whether it's in Iraq or Afghanistan or wherever it is. By the way, 15 years in Afghanistan, 3 times longer than World War II. Are you kidding me? $1 trillion opium harvest every year. Oh, but I digress. But you don't hear word one about our blood and treasure, the numbers committing suicide on a daily basis. If the media would do their job like Walter Cronkite used to do and tell us today 21 Americans killed themselves, people would be in the streets, which is what happened in the Vietnam era, and we got out of Vietnam. We closed down the military-industrial complex. But they learned from that, and now they don't give any stats. They don't tell you how many kids are committing suicide because they can't get treatment. They don't tell us how many people died in Afghanistan. Here's something else to think about, and this is what people don't get. You can find it. It's on the news, but not on the mainstream news. You've got to go offshore different sites to find it. Today in Baghdad, another suicide bomber happened against Sunni against Shia. And this is what people don't get. And this is what this administration doesn't get. When we let these people into the country, eventually, there's already rabid hatred against Israel. Not all Muslims are radicalized. I get that. But a portion and percentage are, which is why Trump's saying, close the borders, stop the immigration. Oh, he's an Islamophobe. Excuse me. Today in Iraq, Sunnis blew up the Shias. That's all I know. And it's every 10 to 14 days in Iraq, another suicide bomber, 30 people, 14 people, 8 people, scores maimed. And this is what they do. And that ideology is being transported over here through this ridiculous immigration policy that this administration has. And eventually, just like San Bernardino, it's going to come back and bite us, vipers on our laps, because that's what it is. And until we can figure out a way to vet these people, shouldn't let them in. Trump's right, in my opinion. Bully for the Donald.
Yeah, everybody's kind of in a real big panic about Hillary getting into office. What do you see? What do you believe is going to happen for this whole 2017 election?
Well, first of all, the Washington insiders do not want Donald Trump. They realize that if he gets in, he'll clean house, because Trump is not part of the Washington establishment. Newt Gingrich went on the record, and I quoted him and wrote a blog about it, lamarzulli.wordpress.com, about this. And you can go, just Google Newt Gingrich, Trump not part of secret society. You can listen to it and watch it for yourself. But Gingrich said something very revealing, that the reason why the Washington elite hate Donald is he's not part of the secret societies. He's not part of the club. And they can't have that, because most of the people in the Washington Beltway are part of the secret societies. This is what got Kennedy killed, in my opinion. And Trump, thank God he's got not Secret Service. He's got a bevy of bodyguards, but they'll go after him. They will, trust me, they will go after him, because this guy gets in, he'll clean house. Meantime, Hillary could be indicted. Then what? If Hillary's indicted, it'll be a landslide, because there's no way people in this country will vote for Bernie Sanders. But Sanders is challenging Clinton, and the whole thing's a shell game. everybody's in the tank, and the whole system is rigged. Carly Fiorina told us this. The system is rigged, and the Republicans want it rigged. You get these little whiners like Billy Crystal. Oh, wah. I said my can't, and he's panicking because he realizes that a guy like Trump, and I'm reading his book, by the way. You want to find out about Donald Trump? Read his book. Read his book. And then dig around. Don't, like the New York Times did a hit piece on him with one of his ex-girlfriends, and his ex-girlfriend came out and said, you guys changed my words. Hello. That's the way it's played. That's the way it's played. They promise one thing, and then they spin it and make it look like whatever they want to do, a hit piece on McDonald. Well, Trump came out swinging, and so did this ex-girlfriend came out swinging. These guys are weasels. We need to clean house. They are terrified of Trump because he's not going to put up with it. He may be the last chance we have in this country to set this country on a course that will work. And when people say, what kind of experience does Donald have? Read his book. Read how many buildings he's built. Read what he does with business. Read the way he works in business. And then look at what President Obama did before he took the one term as a junior senator. Are you kidding me? Not a day in the private sector? Are you kidding me? There's no comparison between the two men. Absolutely none. Obama was no more qualified to be president than my dog, literally, in my opinion. But he talks a good game, and his handlers and the backing and everything else, and then he goes up there. He bows to the king of Saudi Arabia. He won't call Muslim Islamic extremists Islamic extremists. He can't somehow bring himself to say that phrase. So we need somebody who's business savvy. There are 92 million people out of the workforce. Our infrastructure is crumbling, okay? It's crumbling. We are in dire, dire straits. We don't manufacture anything anymore in this country. Trump's right. We don't make anything because everything's been exported. Everything's out. It's time to close the borders. It's time to get rid of the ridiculous cheap labor. It's time to take back America. It really is. So bully for Donald, in my opinion.
Well, I've noticed as well, like even in the population around me in New York, people are changing. It kind of doesn't even seem like they have a clue. In my opinion, there's no family. Nobody believes in family anymore. Nobody, it's like everybody's just turning to different people.
Well, look, the family has been attacked for decades. And we see this being legislated by the federal government, where the federal government will come in and tell us or tell our children or decide if they're transgender or not. And I mean, just things like this. The schools with Common Core, Agenda 21. I mean, there's an agenda in this country which is basically anti-American, against Agenda 21, against private property, the stack and pack houses. I mean, all this stuff. People need to do their homework. And unless we begin to stand up and do something about it, it's over. I mean, it's like really over. And so we need to take back the country, and hopefully Trump will do that.
I'm hoping as well, because I'm really scared of Hillary getting into office. I think
I am too. I'm terrified of that.
There's people on my Facebook just 24/7 saying if she gets into office, they're leaving. Where are you going to go? There's only so far you're going to go, It just,
well, I thought about New Zealand. I've been saying New Zealand. Chuck Missler's there. I mean, I've been saying New Zealand for years. But again, unless I have marching orders from Father God, I won't go anywhere because I just know that that's how the game is played. If he tells me to move, I will move instantly because he'll provide a way. But there's no way I can do that unless I get marching orders.
So, in biblical terms, where do you think we are right now in Revelations?
We're not in the book of Revelation, in my opinion. We are in what's called the birth pangs. In the birth pangs, the wars and rumors of wars, the famines, pestilence, earthquakes in diverse places. Many are coming in his name. There's a guy in Russia who claims to be the Messiah. Rael is in Israel. Rael, the race car driver. I mean, there's all these guys that are saying, hey, we're the Messiah. I mean, all the prophecies that were written thousands of years ago are now coming to fruition, in my opinion. But these are the birth pangs. We're not there yet. We're not there yet. We're not in the book of Revelation yet.
Well, several people say that we've already opened like the sixth scroll, and
No, I disagree. Completely disagree.
it's kind of scary. I mean, when I look at Mother Earth, I see that Mother Earth is definitely dying. Here our trees are dying. They all have some sort of disease. When you look around, the grass is not green anymore. It's like, it's strange. It's like kind of looking at death. It just seems like everything around us is dying.
Well, and that's all part of the. Let me get into the whole Fukushima thing here. That the Fukushima Daiichi reactor, and you don't hear word one about this in the mainstream media. Okay, we know that it happened 5 years ago. When the tidal wave came in, we saw it on television. And wiped out and really crippled the reactor. Okay, reactor 4, the fuel rods have gone missing. They have burned through the containment wall, and no one knows where they are. This is the kind of nonsense we're dealing with. So you would think that if we had a leader in the White House, someone would be saying, we got real problems here, instead of the transgender bathroom thing. Okay, I get that. But that's about, less than 0.5% of the population in America. So we're going to put that on the back burner. In the meantime, be nice to everybody. Okay? Don't discriminate. Try to be nice. Work it out yourself. Meantime, we're going to send a task force over to Japan because the fuel rods have burned through the containment and we have no idea where they are. And they might actually completely contaminate and irradiate the Pacific Ocean. But, I guess we'll just kick the can down the road a little and the next administration can handle that. I find that incredibly alarming. And I don't know, look, I'm not a nuclear guy. I have no idea what the fuel rods, how much of the ocean they can contaminate, but it can't be a good thing. It can't be a good thing. Is it going to contaminate, the groundwater? I mean, where does it go? Because they don't know where the fuel rods are, there's no way to tell what's going on. Nobody knows. They can't build a robot to go in there because when it gets close, all the wires melt. This is what we're up against. Welcome to 2016. Welcome to nuclear nightmare.
That's a scary thought. It definitely is. I mean, we take a lot of walks on the beach and all we're seeing is dead fish, just thousands of dead fish on every shore around here. I'm not sure if it's that way around the world, but that was pretty alarming. Last year, we were walking on the beach and asked a guy how many dead fish he's cleaning up on the shores in one day, and he said just in this area by noon, between 8 and noon, he's cleaning up at least 500 dead fish just in that area. I mean, that's alarming. And the cancer rates are shooting out of sight. Everybody seems to be getting cancer all at once.
Well, this is the problem. I mean, this is the problem. And we have real problems in this country, and they're not being addressed. They're just not. The can is being kicked down. The fact, look, most of your listeners who are sitting now more than likely know how to balance a checkbook. They know a very simple economic principle. You can't spend more than you make. You just can't do it. Because if you continue to do that for any length of time, you go bankrupt. You go belly up. You can't pay your bill. You have to keep borrowing. It's not going to work. Most people with common sense understand that. Well, the federal government has no clue. $19 trillion in debt. And the morons, Mr. Paul Ryan, with all due respect to your office, sir, how can you sit there and pass a bill like this? How can we Republicans in both the Senate and the House of Representatives pass a spending bill like this and put the American people under more debt? They do it because it's a managed agenda. They do it because they want to do it. They do it because they must have somebody's got something on them. And I'm talking tinfoil hat conspiracy stuff here because it makes no sense otherwise. Because rational people don't live this way. Rational don't pass spending bills that put us further in debt. Rational people would go, we got a problem, we got to cut back. And we're not going to raise taxes because you're already taxing us to death. The little businessman can't compete anymore, can't even run his business. I should know, I'm one. I make a profit, I just might as well just hand it all over to the federal government. And they'll do, make $200 toilet seats for somebody, or or give the Iranians $150 billion. That's what they do with our money. I mean, it's time to push back peacefully. We've all had enough, because you can't sustain this. It's a house of cards, and it's going to come down. And maybe that's what they're trying to do. Maybe that's really the ulterior motive here, is to make it all collapse, and just like Greece, just like what's going on in Europe, just like what happened in Cyprus, just like what's happening in Venezuela, because when they collapse the thing, then the elites will get their way. And the elites will come in and buy up everything at 10 cents on the dollar or whatever. See where it's going to go? That's the end game. Just buy up everything. And meanwhile, the rest of us are in misery. Just look at what's going on in Venezuela. Look what's going on in Greece. Look what's happening in Cyprus. Can't happen here? Are you aware, folks? Are you aware that 40 to 50% of the French army is permanently stationed in the city of Paris? Permanently stationed in Paris. Why? Because they have to be. Because they're under siege. And the jihadis are there. And they ain't going to get rid of them. And they've already let them in, and there's no way to get them out. So now the French army spends their time patrolling the streets of Paris. Welcome to the modern era.
I think one of the biggest questions that, we have as Americans is, how do we fight back? I mean, there's so many people standing around saying they want to do something about it. They just don't know how.
Well, and this is why government is completely broken down. That we're not a representative government anymore. It doesn't matter who gets in. Republicans swept the House and the Senate, and nothing changes. Nothing changes at all. The morons still pass one of the biggest budgets ever. Obama gets exactly everything he wants. Nothing is repealed. Hillary skates. I mean, the whole Benghazi hearing is just unbelievable. It's just unbelievable. This is where we are. This is why Trump has lit a fuse. This is why millions of people have come out to see him, because they realize. This is why Jeb Bush spent $150 million on a campaign that failed, that never got above double digits approval. This is why people looked at Cruz like I did, and at first trusted him, until we realized this guy's just another Washington weasel, bought and paid for by independent bankers. He's just another weasel. Talks a good game, but he's just another same old, same old. Trump is the only guy out there who's cut from a different cloth. And look, is he perfect? Heck no. All I know is get his book, The Art of a Deal. You read it. You watch the way this guy thinks, the way he works, the way he talks about people in the book. Just check it out. Just check it out. You don't get to be a success like Mr. Trump is unless you're doing something right, unless you can deliver. And he even talks about that in the book. Talk is cheap. You got to deliver. That's one of his mainstays in the book. So here I am talking about this stuff. Now it's time to deliver, and he delivers. And that's what he's going to do if he's elected president. He will deliver. He will build the wall. He will stop the illegal immigration. He will go after the sanctuary cities. He will stop the gangs in all these cities like Los Angeles. There's places in Los Angeles I can't go. You aware of that? I can't go because I'm a white guy. If I drive through there, I might not make it out. And I'm not exaggerating. Especially at night. There are places in this country where you just can't go. We are under siege by the drugs and the warlords and the gangs. And Trump's talking about cleaning it up. No other candidate's talking about that. But Mr. Trump is. Bully for the Donald.
I agree. I think getting him into office is a good idea, because then we'll see a big change. The problem is, we the people need to open our eyes and see exactly what is in front of us. I just don't think people are really paying attention.
No, they're not.
Another thing, I'd had a guest on recently who kind of shined a different light on things for me a little bit, kind of made me wonder. His take on things that was that these aliens that are coming down in these UFOs are in fact actually the fallen angels. What do you believe on that?
Well, I don't know who your guest was, but we're on the same page. That's exactly what I believe that they are. I don't believe that the extraterrestrial so-called ET phenomena, or as Hillary Clinton now has called them, UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena, instead of UFO. So we're just changing the letters to make it sound like, well, we're distancing ourselves from UFO because it has bad connotations. These are UAPs. So, whatever you want to call it, it's all the same nonsense. Our best award-winning movie in the Watchers series, Watchers 7, Physical Evidence, gets into all this, talks about it. I mean, we did the research. We went to Mexico. We've got terabytes of UFO footage, which is all real. We've got the Kumburgaz UFO footage Dr. Roger Lear took in Turkey before he passed away. All this stuff was vetted. I mean, it's all in our Watchers 7, best-selling Watchers 7, award-winning Watchers 7. And I agree. I think that this is, look, I have called this the coming great deception for years. I may have coined the phrase. I think I did coin the phrase. Doesn't matter. Other people use it. Who cares? But that's what I think it is. I think it's the coming great deception. And I believe it ties into a biblical prophetic passage, specifically 2 Thessalonians, when it says this, that there'll be an apostasy. Before the son of perdition is revealed, there'll be an apostasy. And it's actually an event, the apostasy. And I firmly believe that something will happen which will blow people out of the water. If you don't know what you're looking at a priori before the event happens, most people will be deceived. They will, in fact, believe the lie. And that's what Scripture tells us. Scripture tells us that God, because they did not believe the truth, God sends them a lie. God sends them strong delusion.
Do you believe that the ones that are being abducted...
Need I say more?
Do you believe that the ones that are being abducted have some sort of a bloodline with the, Nephilim from way back?
No, not necessarily. I don't. And again, this is all speculation. It seems to be that there are certain families that have genetic material that these entities are interested in, but we don't know. No one has gotten on board and interviewed one of these characters. Hasn't happened, and it's never going to happen. It's just not going to happen, which is bizarre when you think about it. That even those who are called experiencers or those who have been abducted frequently and have communication with these beings, they can't get any answers because these beings lie and do so habitually. And guess who the father of lies is?
That's understandable.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I started plugging things in that way between, your books and all my guests on here. And, the people out there are just absolutely blindfolded. There's so many people out there who absolutely just don't get it. Everything going on in front of their faces, they just don't get it. And we all need to wake up. We all need to wake up and see what's going on right in front of our faces. And it just kind of seems like everybody's out to lunch.
Well, I call these people the ostrich people. The ostrich people are people that refuse to look at what's going on. They live with their heads in the sand. They live in a false perception of reality. They think that, as long as I keep working, everything will be okay. I can go to the grocery store and buy a six-pack of beer and get some chicken and have a barbecue. Life is good. And what they don't understand is that this whole thing can collapse, and really overnight. I mean, literally overnight.
I think it's coming down quickly.
There's enough food in the markets, probably for about. Yeah, I agree. There's enough food in the markets for 24 hours. Markets get picked clean. I mean, I've seen it. I've been, when Hurricane Sandy hit New Jersey, I was out in the suburbs of Philadelphia, and everything was picked clean. Everything was picked clean within 24 hours. And other markets, because the power went down, had to throw out all the food. Anything frozen or refrigerated was immediately thrown out. So this is what happens in an emergency. And people just think that, oh, well, you know, the government will come in. Nonsense. The government doesn't do squat. And this is where people really need to understand, come to grips with stockpiling food and water, arming yourselves to defend your family and your loved ones, because if it hits the fan, you know, the federal government will be nowhere to be seen, guaranteed.
That's why I think we need to start stockpiling water and, you know, our dried supplies and stuff. And you tell people that and they just laugh at you. And it's like, you know, when it all starts running downhill and you have nothing, who are you going to laugh at? Because, you know, and then if you are one of the people that has a nice stockpile of stuff to take care of your family, you need to watch your neighbors because they're going to come after what you got.
And that's part of the problem. I'm not going to start shooting people. I'm going to share with what I got. But, you know, at some point you pool with like-minded people who are prepared, and those who are unprepared, you know, what are they going to do? I mean, we can help you out a little bit, but we all saw it coming. Why didn't you prepare? Why didn't you do something? Why didn't you, heed the warnings? But that's the thing. That's why there are congressmen I know several years ago who were telling their constituents, get out of the city, buy a farm. I'm not making that up.
Do you think where we stand right now, do you see us falling hard in the near future?
I think that this country, unless Trump actually gets in, if Trump gets in, and he's not, if they don't kill him, because that's what they're going to try to do. The powers that be, watch the lone gunman nonsense, watch just something weird happen. He has a heart attack. It's just, who knows? I don't trust it. And, but Trump's not stupid. I think he knows what he's up against. But if Trump gets in, things may change. If Hillary gets in, it's over. And then, of course, you got the real threat of a EMP, electromagnetic pulse weapon, which we talked about in Watchers 9. Also, my book, Days of Chaos. That's what we talked about. And that's what, that's what's going to happen. We have neighbors like North Korea, like Iran, who call us the Great Satan and would like nothing more than to see America taken down. And that's where we are. I mean, the threat of an EMP is a very real threat, electromagnetic pulse weapon. And if that is launched against this country, we're basically bombed back to the Stone Age. I addressed this in a book that came out in 2007 called Politics, Prophecy, and the Supernatural, which is what we named the TV show after. PPS Report, Politics, Prophecy, and the Supernatural Report. That's the web address, ppsreport.com. You can watch all sorts of really cutting-edge videos there. And we're building a following, just like we're going to be getting on Roku soon, and we'll build a following there. But, we really focus on a lot of the interviews that we did with Watchers. But one of the things that we covered, I should say, in my book, Days of Chaos, was the real threat of an electromagnetic pulse weapon. And, you take a rocket, you put a nuclear device on the end of that thing, you put the rocket in a converted oil tanker, sail it into the Gulf of Mexico, launch the thing, detonate it about 200 miles over the heartland above Oklahoma City. It sends out a pulse which short circuits out everything with an on and off switch, your phone, your refrigerator, your car. Nothing works. Anything with an on and off switch ceases to work. It's over. That's called an electromagnetic pulse. It doesn't kill people. It just kills all the electrical grid. The grid goes down and it doesn't come back up. That's the alarming part. And we have never done anything to beef up our grid so the grid would come back, let's say, in several weeks so they could rework it. Nope. We're looking at years before the grid comes back. In 1 year, millions of people would die. Millions, starting with the old and the very young. Hospitals would shut down. It's catastrophic. Within 24 hours, you've got gangs forming. You've got rival gangs forming. You've got people it's the zombie apocalypse is basically what you got going. It's a nightmare scenario. Nightmare scenario.
I'm really hoping that, with all the listeners between you and myself, that, people start waking up and they start taking notice at what's going on here. And like you said, we need to stand up and take our country back. And
we do.
I pray to the good Lord that people start opening their eyes and doing so.
Well, that's what it's going to take, because if it doesn't happen soon, if people don't wake up and realize how late the hour is, it's always lost. We need to get the vote out. We need to change the weasels in Washington. We need to elect someone like Donald Trump, who I think will be the best thing this country's seen since I can't remember when.
Well, all we can do is pray it goes the right way and try to wake people up. And that's why I love doing my show and, having people on here who aren't afraid to speak up and try to wake these people up.
There you go.
So when, again, can we expect to see your Watchers 10? You said July?
Watchers 10 should come out sometime early July. We're really excited about it. It's got some groundbreaking material in it. My new book, Nephilim Hybrids or Nephilim Nightmares or Chimeras, we're not sure. It's a working title right now. Should be out around the same time. We're excited about that. And, you can go to LAMarzulli.net and pre-order all this stuff, LAMarzulli.net, and check out our TV show, ppsreport.com. Got a lot of material there, a lot of information. We do a show a week. Sometimes we do updates, which we also post. So ppsreport.com, LAMarzulli.net.
I know we talked about the black-eyed children before. And
sure.
I didn't hear too much about it before I talked with you on the show about it, but now it just seems like people are coming out of the woodwork saying it's happening to them. Is that something you're hearing as well, that's become a bigger issue?
Well, there was a pastor down in south of me a little bit, near Oceanside, who had an encounter with one. He and one of his elders were walking around the church grounds when they were praying over the church. And they turned the corner, and this kid was perched on a wall. The wall was 8 foot 6 inches high. Okay, and the kid was like squatting, and the elder goes, "Man, that kid looks really weird. His face is all wrong." His face came down to a point. When the kid heard this, he jumped off the wall, 8.5 feet high. You don't do that. He landed right in front of the pastor. The kid had solid black eyes. He then turned and bolted up the staircase. They followed. When they got to the staircase, the kid had vanished. So, we get encounters like this.
Do you believe that is somehow connected with the fallen ones?
Absolutely. These are hybrid beings, in my opinion. These are genetic manipulations. These are hybrid entities created by the fallen ones to make man in their own image, and they can't do it. They'll never do it. And so they get these stunted, because this kid wasn't a kid, in our opinion, much older than that. And that's what the eyewitness sensed. That, it looked like a kid, but it was much older. And so they're stunted. And this is what we're up against. And this is what is beginning to manifest.
That's a scary thought, because on the internet, I see a lot about it now. It just kind of popping up everywhere on YouTube and stuff.
Sure.
And that's a scary thought.
Yeah, I have no desire to see one of these guys. Absolutely none.
I don't either, but it kind of just, the whole world feels off to me. So it kind of wouldn't surprise me to see anything out of the ordinary anymore.
I agree with you. Absolutely.
I mean,
here we go. We're talking about Venezuela. Lessons from Venezuela. Food shortages, looting, and economic collapse. And the lines are as long as you can possibly imagine. The full-blown economic collapse that is happening in Venezuela right now is a preview of what Americans will be experiencing in the not-too-distant future. So I'm not making this stuff up. The ostrich people laugh and they joke and they, call us conspiracy people, blah, 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 blah. But it's coming down, folks. I mean, it is coming down. And what can I say? Well,
that's a problem. Nobody seems to want to hear it. They laugh you off, and they anybody that talks about this stuff. Oh, that's not true. They're crazy. Just some conspiracy stuff. Well, I wonder if they thought that in Venezuela before it hit them.
There you go. There you go.
Well, I want to thank you so much for taking time to come back with us. I absolutely love having you on the show, and trust me, you are popular demand on this show. Everybody just loves it, to have you on, and you got a lot of supporters here.
Well, I really appreciate that. Would love to come back on again when Watchers 10 comes out. We can talk about that. We're in the process of actually getting the DNA evidence, so we would love to come back when we're ready to release. That would really be cool.
That would be awesome, because I, for one, cannot wait for Watchers 10.
You got it.
All righty. Well, you have a great night, and God bless you.
God bless you, and thanks for having me on. We'll talk again soon.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, you guys. L.A. Marzulli. I absolutely love having L.A. Marzulli on the show. He is an absolutely amazing, fascinating human being. And let me tell you guys, when this guy talks, he knows what he's talking about. He's not just talking to hear himself talk. He knows the truth. He does his research, and he looks around, and he pays attention. His eyes are open, guys, and he's not kidding. We need to start opening our eyes, and we need to start standing up for what is ours. This is our America. These are our United States. And if we don't start standing up as a whole, we're not going to be a whole. We're not going to be. So, I absolutely 100% agree with LA that we need to fight back and take back our country, and we need to do it quickly. And we sure as heck can't do that with Hillary Clinton in office. We're going to be in a lot of trouble. So when you cast that vote, or, when you're sitting around thinking about standing up, stand up. And he's right. If we all stand up together, we can take our country back. And, we have a world to set good for our kids and their kids. So, I'm so grateful that LA takes the time to come on here. He is an absolutely amazing human being. And I am grateful and thankful. He is the one that actually was my first guest on my show and got me started. And for that, I will be eternally grateful. He is just an amazing guy. Well, that's all we have time for today. And we post all our shows on YouTube. And if you would like to know more about our guests and upcoming shows, please feel free to visit our info2rail webpage. Just Google info2rail, and it will pop up our YouTube and our Google Sites page. I want to thank you, each and every one of you, for joining us here at info2rail. I tell you this every show I do, and I will tell you every show I do from now on. If it wasn't for the guests and you listeners, I would not be able to do what it is I love to do, and that is to bring you guys information, to share with you guys, and to be able to share with my guests their what they do in their lives and who they are and why they are, and share information that can change our world and save our world. And that's what I love to do. So thank you guys from the bottom of my heart, and I love all of you, and I hope to see you here each and every week. May God bless you and keep you, and may his face shine upon you in these uncertain times. We'll see you soon.